Alright, in this video we are going to pull apart a power steering pump out of an 80 series Landcruiser. The engine in this one was a 1H DT. The 1HZ's going to have the same pump as well. So first thing we're going to do is give it a good clean down. Sockets you're going to need is a 12.17mm for the pump gear, 14mm for these 3 bolts here, and a 22mm for this one here. You're also going to need a 10mm socket for these two, and also a couple of bits of timber to put in the vise to hold the pump gear still so you don't damage it. Okie dokie, let's start by getting this thing out of the way. Okay, let's undo this gear nut here. So yeah, you want to use these couple of bits of timber just so you don't damage the teeth on the gear. And you can use either a breaker bar. I'm going to use my rattle gun. So there we go, nice and simple. So to remove the gear here, we're going to use a gear puller. There are other ways you could do it, but this is the most efficient way. So let's get that done. Now let's start undoing these things. And careful because that's spring loaded. Okay, 1, 2, 3. You need to be careful here because, oh no, that's all good. Sometimes you've got to see here, this is the inside of your power steering pump now, okay? So your drive shaft comes along here, spins this around, and then this guy here, that's your vane pump. So as this spins around, these little vanes fly out and they do the pumping. Okay, and sometimes they might stick to the underside here of the casing, and you lose them, and then you won't be able to. Your pump will be useless. So you don't want to lose any of those guys. So I've got a seal here. This is going to be replaced, obviously. And yeah, just remember, even if you take a picture, which is a good idea, take a photograph of how this all goes back together. Don't trust your memory because, yeah, especially if it's your first time doing this. So make sure you keep an eye on, you know, which side up. You've got your little dimple there, what side the holes are, all that sort of stuff. All right, now very carefully, we're going to remove the vane pump, and making sure we don't lose any of the little vanes. And sit it in your little parts tray. So we've got one vane, 2 vanes fell out. They don't have to go back in exactly the same spot. Ideally it'd be nice, but yeah, when you're cleaning them off, you're not going to really remember that. So this section here, this sleeve, has to come out pretty much dead even, because what will happen is it just jams on the sides and then you can't get it out.
A few moments later.
There we go. Okay. Now, we just give it all a good clean out. Now we'll flip this side of it over. And what we're going for here is, you can see in there that circlip. So we're just going to remove this, the drive shaft there. And yeah, just need our circlip pliers and get that undone.
One eternity later.
These things are, yeah, rubbish, but they did the job. Got the thing done. You don't need to hang on to that because the kit comes with a new one anyway. Now we remove that seal. There we go. Use the spanner to hook underneath there and just flick it out. Now we just need to remove this this one here, which is called the pressure plate. So that seems to be sort of stuck in there pretty sort of firm. So we need to get that out. Here we go. Oh, and a little spring there as well. Now there is an O-ring down the bottom in there. You can just see it. There, that needs to be picked out. It, for some reason, it's not on the workshop manual there, which is unusual. But anyway, yeah. So don't forget to get that one out and replace that. Okay, so now we've undone all that. I'm going to go and have some lunch, and then we can rebuild the thing. And yeah, this is the kit. That's the part number there for the genuine rebuild kit. So you can get them cheaper, but I wanted to get the proper one. So yeah, anyway. Okay, now it comes time to assemble this little bad boy. So when you've cleaned off your bits and pieces here, just before you put them into the pump, you want to just dip it in a little bit of power steering fluid, just to, you know, pre-coat everything. So we'll start off here with one of these little O-rings. This is the O-ring that goes inside the housing here. It's 3 large O-rings here. This one goes on the outside, and one goes on the inside here, where it joins together, like there. And then the other one here, this goes on the inside. So we'll just do that now. Give a little dip in the power steering fluid, like so. And then make sure it's seated in there properly. Yep, that looks good. Okay, first thing, we're going to drop the oil seal in here, and then we're going to put in the drive shaft. So I whack this in the freezer first. That just makes fitting it a bit easier. And you just can use a 23mm socket just to finish it off there a bit. And that's it there. You want it flush with the edge of the housing along here. So rightio. Now that's in there. We'll just give that a little bit of a oil up with some transmission fluid, and then we can put the shaft in. Now to replace this bearing here, you're going to need to undo a little circlip under here. That goes gets in focus. It's not going to focus for me, but yeah, you need to undo that little circlip there, and then we'll just remove that and replace it. The bearing, you don't need a genuine part. It's a 6203 RS. They're available for about $10, so yeah, you can just remove that one, pop a new one on. Rightio, so when we install this bearing to the shaft here, you want it to sort of sit there. You see that that little groove on the underside? You want it to be sort of sitting around there. You don't want it to be flush up against here. just because that's just going to affect the preload, so to speak, of the gears. So I'm going to get that installed. So let's stick that on here like so. And it's going to be like that, and we're going to have to give it a little bit of encouragement. So just another bit of aluminium I have lying around, and let's tap it home. Okie dokie, so we've got a new bearing fitted to this guy. Now with the snap ring that comes with the kit, I put a regular type circlip in here because that way it goes all the way around. The one that comes with the kit is this thing here, and I just don't like how it goes. It only sits like part of the way around, and it's just, yeah, I just got a bad vibe with it, eh? So when I pulled this one apart, it had one of these circlips in it as well, so I thought, well, I'll stick with what was in there. So now we'll go and install this into the housing, this part here, and yeah, we'll get that done. Just put a little bit of oil there. Okay. Of course, putting your bearing in the fridge can shrink it down a little bit, which makes it a little easier to insert into the housing. And now let's just tap it. Let's just tap it down. Okay, that looks good. Okay, get our circlip and put it in here. There we go. And we are in. Just make sure that's seated properly in there. There we go. Nice. Now, we flip it over and we start installing the internals. Okay, so we get this little guy here and we do the oil thing again, and then we plonk it in there, this end first. There we go. Spring, and we replace the O-ring on this guy. Yeah, it needs to come off. And this gets done up to 64 Newton meters. It is better to do it this way, as you can, it's easier to have everything lined up properly, and then you just put the housing over the top. So make sure you give this, all your bits here, a good hit with compressed air, of course, just to make sure there's no dust or anything there. Okay, now this is your locating pin, so pop that in, like so. Make sure that's sitting home. Now remember, when we took our photo of the internals here, you've got to make sure that you refer to that so things go around the right way. So in that photograph, when you were looking at the inside of this, you were looking at it like that. Okay, so you've got to put it back together in the reverse. So we want to see these two dots here, which give you the correct orientation of this ring, this cam ring here. Okay, so that's done. Now remember, you could see the dimple facing you when you were looking at it before, so this time we're going to put it in with the dimple facing down. So just put a little bit of transmission or some power steering fluid on there. So dimple facing down, and that's going to click in like so. Now these vanes, when you put them in, you'll be able to see, hopefully the camera will, I might take a photograph of it actually and pop that up. But there's two sides to it. There's a round side and there's sort of like a grooved side. You want that round side to be facing out on all of the vanes as you put them in, okay? Okay, so as the pump spins, these vanes fly out, and that's what provides the pressure inside the pump. So it's similar to a feed pump in a diesel injector pump. But yeah, you want to just sort of now make sure that they sort of move freely. They're not binding at all. Okay, now we've done that, we can put the rest on. So now we get this plate here, which is called the pressure plate, and we'll again put some oil on there. Now you've got this little notch right here, that needs to line up with the pin on here, okay? So sit that on there like so, and then we get the spring and sit him on there like that. And that is all ready to be reassembled. Put a little bit of oil around the side here as well. And then we have this O-ring here in the kit, which is going to sit there. So we'll just put him over the top like so. Making sure that it's not caught on anything, not caught on any of the internal parts there. There we go. That's all sitting good and proper. And then we get this guy. We've already put the O-ring inside there, so make sure that's still sitting good and neat. Put a bit of oil on there as well, a bit more. Okay, let's put this cover over it now. And one thing to keep in mind is it is absolutely critical that this housing goes on straight, because that cam ring, this guy here, is a very tight fit. And if you don't do it right, it's going to jam in there, and it's going to be a nightmare. So here we go. Okay, now we can bolt these guys down. You want to bolt these fellas down nice and evenly as well. And this gets tensioned up to 42 Newton meters. And if you've played your cards right, you haven't lost this key here, which sometimes will fall out. So let's pop this in here. There we go. And the torque setting for that guy is 74 Newton meters. Some wood or some aluminium. You just don't want to damage the teeth. There we go. Next thing, we'll put this guy back on. So replace the O-ring here. tension these up. They don't need to be done. Just tighten these little bolts up. And that's it, we're finished. One power steering pump rebuilt. So not too hard. And yeah, just chuck it back in the car. Oh yeah, you need to put this on as well. This is your O-ring that goes on to where it mounts to the vehicle, so don't lose that. Alrighty, and that's that for this video. So have fun, eh?